Welcome back to my channel. This is the time of year where the sun is blazing and it's time to get some shade in your backyard or build yourself a lean-to, carport, or patio cover. Let's get into it. Now this is my Miller Multimatic 215 and hardwire 035, and let's gather some materials. I actually had to rent a flatbed trailer because there was so much material to gather up, including 3x3 tube, 26 gauge sheet metal, and 3-inch purlins. And it was a huge load that I absolutely needed the trailer for, and it's 45 minutes to Eagle Mountain. I couldn't decide if I wanted to use 5x5 or 6x6 base plates. In this application, we decided to go with bigger. This was one of many pictures that we used as a rough basis, but as you'll see, I far exceeded the expectations. I love the Sherwin-Williams Pro Industrial DTM, and before I installed the uprights, I painted them, and then it rained, which was cool to watch the water bead on that. Although I have a stud finder, it was difficult to find the joists and exterior studs through the stucco. Once I found a stud, it was easy to space out the 16 inches and use my heavy-duty drill on the 3/16 by 3x3 angle and get started drilling holes. And of course there's a tool for the soffit. Now we run a string line and verify the angle is level for your lean-to attachment. Now my impact gave out on me, but I did super glue it back together. Originally I was going to go 5x5, but as you can see, not enough room for the base plate. Since this is 3.5 by 3.5, I'm doing 6x6, and there's plenty of room for the base plates. Now, you can use a 5x5 for the 3x3 tube. 3x3 tube, that works out just fine. My Miller Multimatic 215 takes the NEMA 650R, so I took the liberty of buying a 100-foot extension cord for the 650R. This is your 220 volt that will reach all the way around the house. I don't know why welding stores don't sell this, but you absolutely need this if you need more flexibility. Now I had stainless wire in here, but I'm switching back over to 035 hardwire. See the moisture? Gotta get all that moisture out of there. Watch it evaporate. And my settings, I got it cranked all the way up, even though I'm not welding 3/8. I got the heat all the way up. 0.035 hardwire. Nice. Alright, so this is the ledger angle. 3/16 by 3x3. Super heavy duty to handle all that weight. I got some WD-40 so that my pilot hole doesn't wear out as fast. Every 16 inches, you got a hole for the lag bolt. So stay tuned. It's very important to make sure your lag bolts are fitted for the holes every 16 inches. Now you want to use a 3/16 drill bit and start your pilot holes there. Once you do your smaller pilot hole, then you work yourself up to the bigger pilot hole with the heavy duty drill. And motor oil is probably preferred. I'd use motor oil, but I didn't have any, so I used white lithium WD-40, a little cup. And what you do is you dip your drill bit in there. Check this out. You got 3/8 lag screws, but you got 5/16 washers. Why does a 5/16 washer fit more snug and perfect, but a 3/8 washer is too loose for a 3/8 lag screw? And of course I had to troubleshoot my pump and rebuild it because I forgot to properly winterize it, so it wasn't pumping correctly, but I love the Sherwin-Williams Pro Industrial DTM. I always use washers with my lag screws, but some people say it's not necessary. Heavy-duty ledger angle is finally installed, and I do recommend a heavy-duty impact wrench. The ledger angle is exactly where the customer wanted it, in between the soffit, but right above the window, so it's not resting on the window. And look at the size difference on this impact versus the other impact. And of course, the customer wanted me to reinforce the gutter before blocking it off with the patio cover. There were so many screws and nails that were just popped out. With my Evolution chopsaw, I cut the slope for the uprights. And as a courtesy, I vacuum out all the concrete dust for when I drill the concrete anchors. As you can see, I'm only taking off 3/8 of an inch, but that provides the perfect slope. And before I paint, I wipe it down with lacquer thinner and rags, and then here's my spray pump for the Sherwin-Williams Pro Industrial DTM. Some more altogether, 50 feet. There's about 40 or more lag bolts, every 16 inches in the studs. Alright, I got the blade on. I love this visor right here, so you can see what you're cutting as you go down. What's cool about this saw, it comes with extra different size plates for the 15-inch blade if you want to upgrade, or the stainless. And it comes with this removable plate that slides onto the backstop. So the purpose of this plate that slides on, you can cut tube or angle. That is absolutely incredible. I have never seen that on a chop saw before. Love this thing. One thing I have never seen on any chop saw is a tray to catch all of the shaving. Apparently you can't empty the tray for the shavings with the blade down. The blade has to be up. You have a tray to remove all of your shavings so you can keep your work area clean and clear. And it's spring loaded so that it comes out easy. My very first cut. 3.5 by 3.5 by 3/16. Make sure everything's tight. Let's do this. I have never cut anything that fast. There's no sparks. Cool to the touch. Level and level. It don't get any more level than level. Got the Graco contractor PC gun with a fine finish tip. We're spraying these primer reds purlins, but they're going in off-white. And we're using the Graco Nova 390 PC. This thing is small but powerful. I highly recommend it. And we're using Sherwin-Williams Pro Industrial DTM acrylic. This is an eggshell or satin finish, which is perfect for the exterior, and it matches the fence and the window vinyl trim. It's gonna be so amazing. Stay tuned. That burned. Crap. I just turned my sweatshirt into Swiss cheese. It's looking so good now. All I have to do is the fascia, which of course we are using a purlin. We have a 20-foot purlin, and we're going to splice 3 feet 8.5 inches to give us 23 8.5. How to splice a purlin? Easy. First I gotta grind the paint away, which I did already. It's very thin, so it doesn't take much. And then I'll set up some clamps. Now we are ready to splice a purlin. I like using these angles because it guarantees a flat and perfectly smooth transition, whereas flat bar will bend too much. You've got two strong arm clamps holding this angle, and if we come over to the other side, we've got two finger clamps holding the inside of the purlin to the other angle as I have here. So you have a nice, perfectly straight transition. There's a sample of the roof. Of course, it's not attached yet. It's just up there to see how it looks. All the purlins are in, and now we are using a purlin as the fascia. But as you can see, there's a slight slope. So I'm using this plate as a shim, clamping the angle, clamping this plate or angle to the bottom. And then we're gonna weld the back side and use the purlin as a fascia. What are your thoughts on this? It was so windy, so I had to keep using a fire blanket to block the wind, so my shielding gas is not gone. The splice is lined up and looking good, welded and blended. And of course, you can't have too many clamps to get your angle and slope correct. After I welded each purlin, I touched up the paint just like this, so it is kind of time consuming. But as you verify each piece is level and square, and all the purlins are in place, then you can start putting in the metal roofing, which I had ordered cut to size 12 feet. So unlike those prefab kits, where you have to splice 3 sections for one run, these were 12-foot pieces, so there's less screws that way. And of course, as you're installing each piece, you want to overlap one rib. And so there's the top of it with plenty of screws in each section and making sure that the wind will not make it blow away. So these D-rings you can pick up at your local hardware store. And my settings, I got it cranked all the way up, even though I'm not welding 3/8. I got the heat all the way up. We got these hooks up here for the planters. These things you could pick up at your hardware store. I turn the heat up on my welding machine for that. These you see on trailers, flatbed trailers, 2,300 pounds capacity. They're actually being used for a hammock. So way overkill.